that seem to support just the opposite. So what do we do to bridge this and to unify the body of Christ to break that gender of the good old boys and allow women to fulfill their calling if Christ has called them?
So I can tell you what I'm doing. And I think it's the same thing with the gospel. It's one on one. It's in the relationships that you have. It's not in trying to grab power, but it's in actually living it out relationally. So we moved from, my entire life I've been in Western Pennsylvania. We were part of a church that my oldest daughter, feeling a call to ministry, that's where I wanted her to be. And when 3 years ago, 2 years ago, people would say, "Where do you plan on retiring?" I'd be like, I would love to retire exactly where I am. And my youngest also, this be the only church she knows. And so when we moved to North Carolina, we are in a place where it is almost impossible to find a church that actually believes a woman could be in ministry, yes, but in the actual pastoral seat or in a board, no. And so my kids love the church we first found because the pastor had a Nazarene background. So I thought, all right, we'll start here. We'll find that culture. As soon as I found out they do not celebrate women in ministry, I took my family and we found a different church, right? And we're literally looking for a space, and I'm looking for a space where I know I can raise my daughters in a place where they will be celebrated, whatever their calling may be. And then in my work, right, like at Trellis, I can't tell you. I mean, we could be 5 times the size we are right now if I would partner with anybody who thought anything and just grow it from a structural standpoint rather than saying, no, we truly value, it's one of our 3 values, women and men in all roles of ministry. And I can't tell how many times a pastor will say, well, could we do it if we, and I'm like, no, like you can start, I'll give you all materials. You can start your own program if you want, but I want the women in our program to know that they are supported in every church we work with, and that all of their colleagues and all the cohorts that we're in, we are going to celebrate every role in ministry. And so for me, it's just about aligning myself and showing that this is a value and this is what we do. And I don't want to take and say, well, I'm going to run for political office and then I'll make it, everybody. That's that power grab thing. Right. So it is the Jesus way of saying, I'm going to serve this way one-on-one and then hopefully have as many conversations as I can and let people see, the Mother Teresa's of the world and go, maybe she has the right to speak the gospel. Yes, she does, and give them the opportunity.
I love that because you're creating the kinds of churches that you want your daughters to grow up in. There may just simply need to be a lot of that. And I think for anybody listening who's in the faith traditions where even that is not going to fly, there's no ability, I mean, they would have to be on their own for that. I do think there are a lot more ways to pull women's voices into decision making, even if you're going to hold off the actual, say, preaching pulpit. I'm fine with that disagreement. You know what I mean? Like if the Bible were crystal clear, we wouldn't disagree on it. But I think that the response though has kind of been like, well, I don't know, any woman near anything, man. Like, nope. Yeah, we don't have to have. It's not like there are only 2 extremes. Completely no, completely yes, and nothing in between. I think that there are churches who are exploring within their more conservative faith traditions having women being engaged in the work of deacons and getting that title and having that authority. I think having leadership meetings where women are intentionally invited to participate and to speak and to make sure that no decision of any import in the church is happening without getting input from women across age ranges, and not just being like, we'll pick the old wise ones. No. We need we need a lot of different voices there. And really, I really want men to think about the message, like you're saying, the message that churches send their daughters and their sons about who gets to speak in any space. I think Sunday school classes are also underutilized. My hilarious story is the time that my husband, who has doctoral level education in Old Testament, was traveling, and so he could not teach his Old Testament prophets class, and the teacher that he co-taught with was a seminary professor who was also traveling and could not teach that week on Micah. And he went to the elder who sponsored the class and he said, so the next most qualified person in our church to teach Micah is my wife. Would this be okay for 1 week? And to their credit, they went, they thought about it. The elders had a conversation. They said, nope. Oh, okay. Got to have certain body parts to talk about Micah. Like, I just feel like there needs to be there are spaces where churches could at least be willing to experiment with something and see that all hell is not going to break loose if they allow certain gifts to take certain spots, even if they wish to reserve things. I think at least we would be perhaps in a healthier conversation.
I mean, I think
And I would almost add, I would add this in a way. I think men need to start teaching in the Sunday school for the children,
Yeah.
because
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh. Yes.
we've abdicated that
Yes.
to the women, so women always stay with the children. Yet we would all admit that one of the number one issues in our country is fatherless homes. And so if we would put men back in every age range as well, that would also show that men teaching children, women teaching adults. Like, we need to disperse that, because it is healthy for the whole church.
yeah.
And to credit the church where I did a lot of my ministry, they would always assign couples to work in the nursery rooms. And I always thought that was a really, for one thing, it's just nice to have another person you actually, know and are partnered with the, the 2-year-old that you're trying to take care of, and the room full of 2-year-olds. But also, yeah, I fully agree with you. Kids need to see healthy relationships with men and with women, just the same way that men need to be able to engage with women and not make it weird. I'm just saying, it doesn't have to be weird. I'm really tired of the Billy Graham rule. I'm a professional, with a doctorate in my field. I have a friend who is also a professional with a doctorate in her field, and she had trouble with science labs at an R1 university down the road from me. I do live in the Southeast, because one of the professors single-handedly decided he was going to impose the Billy Graham rule on his lab, which meant that his graduate students could not access their chemistry lab unless a woman professor was around to be there. And she was like, the way this completely breaks gender roles so that you have to have a woman somehow babysitting. She's like, this doesn't even make sense. And she was not raised in the same world that I was. And so I took a minute and explained it.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, I think it's going to take an effort on all parts across all age groups to make this happen. One of the things I appreciate with the church that we're at now, they pride themselves on leaning young. And because the reality is, if you don't, there's no church tomorrow. That's the reality. If we don't lean and reach the younger generation and the young adults and the young families with kids, there is no church of tomorrow, because that's it. I'll be dead in 30 years or 35 years, if I'm lucky enough to live that long. And who's left? My son. That's it. So we need to start making sure that what we're doing is impacting that younger generation to hopefully change things for the better and for the glory of God, as well as to really show the true love and grace that Jesus has shown us and has shown the earlier church in that's explained within the scriptures. Cliff and Lori, it has been quite a conversation, and I have enjoyed every moment of this, and we'll have to come back and see if we can get a few more people to join us and maybe talk about, has biblical Christianity been replaced by Christian nationalism? That might be a fun one to do in after the first of the year, and see kind of where that goes. But
I'm sorry for your comment section, man. Like, that is gonna be.
I don't know. I might have to do the blurred face with a fake name. That way I don't lose my. I don't know. That's good. No, it's awesome. Thanks for having me.
I hope I really do. I hope this gets some people talking, and I think it's a topic that is always good to come back and revisit. And especially after we've watched, when I'm done editing and seeing what we do here, to say, okay, well, as you're watching it, you're thinking, oh, I wish I could have said this. I should have said this. I've done follow-ups on a couple shows. We'll have to try and do that again as well. But thanks for joining us today with The Dead Prophet. My name is Mike Beckett. I'm your host, along with Cliff and Lori today, as we talked about women in ministry. And hopefully it will be encouraging to you, and hopefully you will be blessed. I just want to encourage everybody to continue to live an authentic life as a disciple of Jesus Christ. And we'll see you next time here on the show. Have a great day. Bye-bye.